Titans beat the Texans in Week 6 in overtime on a Derrick Henry touchdown. Ryan Tannehill with 4 touchdowns. Derrick Henry, he had 2 and over 200 yards. If you've listened to our podcast before, you know that we've had the girls on there before, and we decided after this crazy game, it would be a good idea to kind of mix our video up and bring them in on the game reaction.
They were right there watching it with us, went through every emotion that we went through, and, you know, it's only right to bring them on to give their thoughts on this game as well.
Right. So, whichever one of you two wants to go first, what stuck out to y'all most in this game?
Derrick Henry. Let me just tell you, his run today. Okay, my favorite was the 94-yard run for a touchdown. That was amazing. I pretty much was jumping up and down the entire last 5 minutes of the game and into overtime, so it was nerve-wracking but in a glorious way. Oh, by the way, I'm still a Patriots fan. I'll cheer on the Titans when they play, except when they play the Patriots.
I was just pacing the whole time, so.
So, excited and nervous.
Let's hop to your thoughts, Tanner. What was going through your mind? Because, you know, we both know, but they need to know how we were reacting to this game.
Well, I think that it would be easy for anyone to kind of guess that I'm a little more pessimistic and you're a little more optimistic. So the whole time I even heard you say it once, are we really fixing to lose to the Texans?
I did say that. I will admit that I asked, but at no point did I completely lose hope that we weren't going to try and make something happen.
Right, and I didn't either. Honestly, probably my favorite part of the whole game, even though Derrick Henry had his best game all season, and we've been waiting on it, but Ryan Tannehill on that last drive, especially the last play, and I was just waiting for him to spike it, and I really didn't understand the decision when he just decided to go ahead and throw the ball, but it was just, I don't know, he just relied on his instincts and threw it up to A.J. Brown.
A.J. Brown.
And first of all, the announcers were just hating on A.J. Brown and trying to come up with any reason that could not be a touchdown.
Yeah.
I mean, look, I'm sitting at home watching this, and I don't get paid to announce these games, but even I can see that his foot and knee are hitting too close, you know, at the same time, and they called it a touchdown originally. So if it's that close, you can't overturn something like that in a game that's been this big and, you know, this
With 4
back and
seconds
forth.
left.
Yeah, I mean,
Yeah.
there's no way you can overturn that.
Right.
And which we know that A.J. Brown got the foot down before the knee hit, so it didn't really matter anyway.
Right. So, what did you think about this Jeremy Nichols guy?
Oh, he was good. I didn't really know who he was, but I was keeping up with Jim White. Is that what his name is?
Jim White?
Yeah, because I was so scared, so I kept updating my Twitter, and his name kept popping up, so I
She
guess
likes to
he's
stay
good.
on Jim White's Twitter during the game because it's a little bit ahead of what the TV is. So, she's always informed on everything
Yeah,
before we are.
We get in trouble if we do that.
But I don't
But-
say anything. So.
Nichols just came out of nowhere this game. I feel like they gave him a lot of opportunities. They handed him the ball a lot. They threw a lot of passes, and he came through with them.
5 for 51 for 10.2 yards per carry. And then Derrick Henry, obviously the stat line that sticks out, 22 carries for 212 yards, 2 touchdowns, and 9.6 yards per carry.
The one game where my bold prediction, I actually go down to 145 yards, and then he comes out and has 212 yards, averaging over 9 yards a carry, and as she mentioned, the 94-yard run that I actually called. If you've watched one of our other YouTube videos, we had our friend Luke Jerkins on. I texted him a couple minutes before this play happened and said, Derrick Henry touchdown. And sure enough, they come back out, first play, Henry 94 yards.
Granted, don't you think it needs to be known that before every play he texts him and says Derrick Henry touchdown?
Yeah. Every single time.
Pretty much.
So out of the 50 different texts that he sent him, he got one of them right.
Yeah, so.
Hey,
They
Actually,
were the only
two
one that matters.
So I lost my train of thought.
All right, not the prettiest game by the Titans.
No, absolutely not.
Penalty-wise, we had, over 70 yards in penalties. Turnovers. We lost the turnover battle today and still found a way to come back and win this game. First turnover being when Lawan went down with an injury. And, I told you, one of the guys we had to watch out for, even though he's getting older, is J.J. Watt. And as soon as Lawan went out, they moved him over from his left end spot to the right end. And he forced a fumble, which I don't know why our guys didn't just fall on it, why they kept trying to pick it up and run with it. But gave the Texans really good field position. And in the second turnover, the interception that Ryan Tannehill threw, going deep for Khalif Raymond. At first, I didn't like the play call. But then when they showed the replay, I seen how open the field was to Tannehill's left side. And he threw it too far down the field instead of over more and letting Raymond, make the play on it.
Right.
But, even with, all the penalties and the turnovers, great teams find ways to win. And this Tennessee team, I think people are finally starting to realize, and when I say people, I mean the media, not just Titans fans, are realizing this is a great team.
Right. And this one is going to be for the girls. The first half and the second half were kind of two different stories, except for right there at the end when the Titans finally decided that they were going to make it a game and take it into overtime. The first half, the Titans pretty much dominated, and then in the second half, it was a complete turnaround for the Texans. But one thing throughout the game was pretty consistent, and that was the kicking. What did y'all think about Goskowski this game?
I just hate that guy so much. I'm sorry, but I just do. He's awful.
Well, the first one, you could make an argument that it wasn't his fault.
Yeah. Well, I guess.
What did you think about the blocked field goal?
You know what? My thought before he ever kicked it was it's raining out there and that ball is slippery. And that's going to be a hard ball to kick. But you know what? He made the kicks that counted, that mattered in the end, I feel like.
Luckily, it didn't boil down to him winning the game, so that's good, I think.
No, but he had to make the kick that sent us to overtime.
So technically, yeah.
That is true.
I got to ask, who's going to be your player of the game this week? Because, yes, Henry went off this week, but then you have Ryan Tannehill, who, besides the interception, didn't have a bad game.
He gave me 41 fantasy points, so that's good.
He had 4 touchdowns, 364 yards. Then, like I said, Henry, 212 yards, 2 touchdowns. Ferkser, who 8 receptions, 113 yards, and A.J. Brown with 2 touchdowns.
I'm going to say I'm going to have to go with Derrick Henry. The first probably 2 games of the season, Derrick Henry had like mediocre games, and we kind of argued back and forth about, you were kind of leaning towards calling them good games, and I was leaning towards calling them bad games. This is what we see from Derrick Henry when he is playing.
You cannot tell me that
the right way. When
this is not just a good game.
This is a great game.
This is a hell of a game.
This is what we see from Derrick Henry when he's playing the right way. When he's running forward instead of dancing around and trying to make everything go outside. He's good at getting outside, but I mean, even you saw on the 94-yard run, he just when he really just lets his momentum take him forward.
Puts his head down.
Puts his head down and just goes. It's hard to stop him, and so I'm gonna have to go with Derrick Henry.
Can we just talk about how a man his size should not be able to run down the field that fast? He got up to 21.6,
I think.
Yeah, like
26.1.
No, 21.6.
Oh, you said it wrong the first time. Then he told me 26.1.
No, I said 21.6. I don't know that anyone besides maybe Usain Bolt can run 26.1.
That's why I thought it was so crazy that you had told us that stat.
Well, even 21 miles per hour for a guy that's 6'3", 6'4", 250 pounds.
Did they radar him?
They have trackers on the players because every week they see who had like
the fastest run.
Right.
Oh, okay.
So I have to agree with you. I think Henry gets player of the game. Not just because of the 212 yards, but we had started struggling in the second half.
We needed to pick up.
And his 94-yard run, even though we gave up a big play to their offense.
50-something yards.
Right after that. But it gave us some momentum. And then we get to overtime, and Henry puts the icing on the cake. He has that long reception that was like 53 yards.
And finally, the screen pass worked.
It finally worked. They were all over it most of the game, and then he was able to just slip out on that one. And then they run the Wildcat formation. He takes the snap, and when he gets ahead of steam, they're not stopping him.
I guess that's one thing that Arthur Smith has going for him as offensive coordinator. If you do something enough, maybe it'll finally work.
I believe there was only one toss play this game, though. So, and it gained positive yards. So I will say that was a plus, but I about said some not so good things whenever I seen the toss happen.
We need to get players of the game from these two.
Nichols.
Nichols.
Is that his name? Nichols?
Nichols.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, just want to make sure I said it right. Like I said earlier, I feel like they gave him a chance to shine this game, and even though he didn't take a lot of yards in one chunk, he was consistent in the yards that he did get. He made sure that he was carrying them through, and he did get us to important first downs and things like that. So I'm going to say, like, without McNichols, like, Derrick Henry could not have done as good as he did, and it made a difference. Because like you said at one point, are we going to lose on a game where Henry is running over 200 yards? And yeah, McNichols.
I'm going to pick, is his name Ferkser?
Ferkser.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I'll pick him.
8 receptions, 113 yards, and a touchdown.
Yeah, he kept them going, so
It was like every time they needed a first down or something,
Or
it
third
was
down.
Ferkser. Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, Jonnu went out with, I believe, an ankle injury, so
So
we were
Ferkser stepped up.
Yeah, we were without our tight end one, and Ferkser stepped up and
Right.
filled that position very well for us.
Yeah, I think those are all solid picks.
The defense.
Oh my God.
I'm gonna let
That's
whoever wants to
horrible.
take this one first. I'm gonna let you run with it. So
That's just ridiculous.
Well, they improved slightly on third down.
They did good at the goal line.
What was
I'll say that.
What was last week's 13 of 17
true,
on third
yeah.
down?
Right.
Is what they gave up, and then this week 7 of 14.
so they got them down to 50%.
So they're only giving up first downs half of the time on third down.
But how come we can stop them on third down when it's like 3rd and 3 or something like that? But when we get them in 3rd and 10 to 3rd and 15, we always seem to, even if they throw an underneath pass, we let the guy get upfield and get the first down.
Because we can't put pressure on them, and we can't stop the pass. We can't keep their receivers covered. But when they run the ball, Jeffrey Simmons or Daquan Jones, one of the two, maybe even Rashaan Evans, can get in there and stuff the run. So
Evans is so good on the goal line.
Right.
And so is Jeffrey Simmons.
right.
But, we talked about how after Henry had his big run, we let them come back with a big play of their own. And, again, one of my keys to the game was not letting the Texans have that big play.
Right.
Prevent the big play. I was fine with them giving up stuff underneath. But if you let them have the big play, that gives teams momentum. I don't know what Malcolm Butler was doing on that play. He turned his back to Fuller, was going towards the middle of the field when, no one was even going deep towards the middle. And Fuller's just got too much speed. Once he gets even with you, he's gone. So, but again, this team found a way to come back and win.
So for the girls, what has to happen for this defense to play better next week? Or what is wrong with the defense?
Well, last week, I feel like, I guess it was Tuesday. It wasn't really a week. But Tuesday, Clowney was just everywhere, and I feel like he wasn't everywhere this week, if that makes sense. You know what I mean? Like, he was there with everything, whatever it's
he was
called.
disrupting things.
Yeah, but like this
Getting in the
week,
way.
he did a few good things, but he wasn't really there. And so I think they just, I don't know, I think they just need to pay more attention and not wait till third down to get it together.
Well, Byard.
Byard. You can tell she is not a Titans fan.
Byard? Is that how you say it?
Yes.
Okay, listen, he was dropping the ball, not literally, but like he was not staying up on his guy. And then I would say they need to pressure the quarterback more because their defensive line was constantly pressuring Tannehill, and I think we got like maybe 2 sacks.
Yeah.
The defense, they got 2 sacks, but I feel like their quarterback just had the space and time to make the throws that put them down the field. So
Yeah, and they also have like literally the worst offensive line ever.
oh,
This
seriously,
year.
they really do.
So like Houston?
Oh, Houston, all right.
Yeah, Houston. Like Deshaun Watson has been getting sacked like crazy, and then they play the
Third
Titans.
most in the NFL.
Yeah,
Yeah.
and then
Before
the
this week.
Titans play him, and it's like he's got all this room. It's just insane.
Yeah.
So that's
Before this game, Deshaun Watson had been sacked the 3rd most out of any quarterback in the NFL. Titans got to him twice. I was hoping that number would be closer to 4, maybe even more. But for a team that hasn't been getting a lot of sacks this year, they got to him twice. I mean, I'll take it. It's not great, but it's not.
it's better than nothing.
It's better than nothing. Right, exactly.
Well, I believe the Titans are in the bottom part of the league in how many sacks they're able to get.
Mm-hmm.
Right.
So, and even if we're not getting sacks, we have to find a way to have better containment on these quarterbacks because our guys are starting to get back there, and when they get close, we lose containment. And, the last 2 games, Allen was able to get out of the pocket, extend the play on 3rd down, and, make some good throws. And I told you that they have to watch Watson because he's faster than Allen and can make probably some more plays with his feet than Allen can. And he was able to escape the pocket and make some things happen. So our defense definitely has to step up. We can't play like that against teams like the Steelers or some of these other top teams. I mean, Kansas City. Could you imagine going against that team with how our defense is playing right now? Luckily, our offense is showing that we're not just going to be a ground and pound team where if we're not in the lead, we can't keep up with you. They're showing this year that they can get in these shootouts and put up points behind Ryan Tannehill. So we do have that going for us, but I like seeing the scores where it was more like the Buffalo game where it was 42-16 rather than 42-36.
Well, regardless, I mean, obviously it's been a thing every week that the defense just has to get better. It's carried on all the way into week 6, but they're 5-0, 2-0 in the division, at the top of the division.
Still at the top of the AFC, I
Still at
believe.
the top of the AFC. The only team in the division that is close is the Colts.
And they're 0-1 in the division.
Right, they don't have a division win. So, how does everyone feel about this team going forward?
I think if they stay on their game, they'll be good. I hope Taylor Lewan pulls through with whatever he's got going on because that dude that filled his place, he was horrible.
They're still feeling aftershocks, I feel like, of the COVID mess. So once they're all able to get back in practice and really get back in a rhythm, I feel like they can strengthen where they're weak right now, and hopefully that will lead to better games where we're not as stressed out, hopefully.
You want to go or you want me to go?
I just, I'm really optimistic about, which is weird for me to say, but about how this team's going to play going forward, and I think they're going to stay at the top of the AFC South all the way through the season, and I don't know, maybe we'll see a 16-0 season, but I gotta have, they gotta have Adoree Jackson back. I can't go another week without it.
Well, we've said it several times. It's hard to pick against this team when they are winning, and
Right.
they're still doing that. And I've mentioned it. Great teams find a way to win close games, and they were down 36-29. Stopped the Texans on a 2-point conversion, drove down the field, scored, made the extra point, got the ball, started overtime, went down the field and scored. So, I mean, they're finding ways to win these games. And, yes, the defense is going to have to step up. I don't want to have to be in a shootout every week with someone. But even if this team can do that, we do need Adoree Jackson back. Our secondary, there seems like there's one week they play really good, and the next week they're giving up just big plays. I'm ready to have Adoree back so that maybe we can get Jonathan Joseph off the field. Not trying to keep hating on him, but every time I've not seen him in press coverage. If at all this year, it hasn't been much. Every time I see him lined up, he is 8 to 10 yards off the receiver. And he's getting beat on some of these quick out routes and even in routes. Like, we can't. I understand you want to bend and not break, but when you're giving playmakers that much room, if they make you miss, they could be gone. But I'm happy with this team, and I think that they can keep on winning.
Okay, so looking at it from the Texans' point of view, not the point of view that it helped the Titans, do you think that the 2-point conversion try by the Texans there when they could have went up 8 was a good move?
I don't think it was a good move because it, like, if they would have kicked the extra point, like you said, they would have been up 8. They had the momentum at that time. And by them not getting the 2-point conversion, it did, I think, give a little bit of momentum back to the Titans. And I think either way, the Titans would have drove down the field and scored the touchdown, even if the Texans would have just kicked the extra point. But it would have been a little bit harder on them to convert the 2-point conversion rather than just kicking the extra point to tie it up.
Right.
But if you let a team go down and score a touchdown with 4 seconds left, there's that chance with how much momentum they have that they can get that 2-point conversion anyway. And the Titans had a great 2-point conversion call, before that touchdown,
Right.
whenever they scored and got up to 29. So Arthur Smith definitely would have had something drawn up to give them the best chance of getting the 2 points.
We saw Ryan Tannehill with another great game. So, what do y'all think about Ryan Tannehill? Do you think, where would you rank him right now in the NFL? Do you think he's, top 3, top 5, top 10?
I don't know a place. Skip me, sorry.
I think Tannehill makes solid plays when he's in the zone. I think when he goes out of his comfort zone, aka throwing deep, he struggles. I don't think I've seen him throw a really long deep pass all season. Has he?
He's threw a couple. He hit Khalif Raymond deep, I believe it was 2 times in the game against the Vikings. So it depends on how much time he has.
It's just
like with any quarterback.
It's not as well, like we talked about, he doesn't really have space or time to make those kind of throws. But I feel like if his offensive line would step up a bit more and he would make more throws like that, he might be a little bit higher on the list. But for me, a good quarterback has a good arm, and for me, I would say he's maybe top 5. I'll give him that.
That's pretty good.
No, not bad coming
What do
from
you
a
think?
Patriots fan.
I'd say top 5. He's just, I don't know. It's hard to throw when you have Derrick Henry and he wants to run it all the time and that's what's working for him. So I guess it just depends. I don't know. He needs to throw it more, but then when he throws it, it really stresses me out. So he just needs to practice more on his throwing, but he is top 5 because he makes it count when it needs to be. So
Consensus top 5 Ryan Tannehill. That's pretty good.
You gonna go just top 5, not top 3 yet?
I don't know. But he's at least top 5, potentially top 3.
I'm gonna say, like everyone else, he is top 5. He's knocking on the door for top 3.
Right.
If he's not there, he's arguably top 3. You look back at what he's done since he's taken over as the Titans starter, and he's put together really good games. Like we said, today he made some mistakes, but he was 30 for 41 for 364 yards. We don't see Tannehill go for over 300 yards that much because the Titans do have that strong run game with Henry.
Right.
And, even in a game that goes into overtime, he had 41 attempts passing the ball, and Henry still had 22 carries. So he's right there at top 3 if he's not already in it. Another thing that I think will help the Titans, especially since Lewan's been going down the past couple weeks with an injury, I don't think it'll be too much longer, and we will finally be able to see Isaiah Wilson out on the field. He was inactive today. I think they're wanting him to get a little bit more practice under his belt before they bring him in. And any of the backups we had today when Lewan went down, I think we're going to have a tough go at things. Because like I mentioned in our preview for this game, they were either going to be facing Watt or Merciless. And those are two really good pass rushers. Especially Watt, even with him being up there in age, if you don't double team him, he can get back there and disrupt plays still.
I would have been really nervous to have Isaiah Wilson in there today.
I'm still mad.
I think he could have been better, but I still would have been nervous.
He's just a lot bigger body.
I think he would have shown flashes of being better, but would have given up more bad plays. I don't know. I think at times he would have been better, and at times he would have been worse. Up and down.
It's one of those what-if situations that we didn't get to see because he was inactive. But like I was saying, that could be getting the Dory back on defense is going to help us. And when Isaiah Wilson is ready, and active, and we have to call on him to come in, he could be a difference maker for us. It just gives us more depth.
At least having that option.
Right.
I think Taylor Lewan just needs to be wrapped in bubble wrap.
That's all we've got for this week's game recap. Next week, we're on to the Steelers. Make sure that you check out our social media on Twitter, Titans_time, on Instagram, Titans Time Podcast. What else?
Check out our Facebook, Titans Time. Make sure you check out our website, titanstimepodcast.com. Also, check out our podcast, Titans Time. We're on pretty much any podcast app you can think of. Those will be popping up on the screen for you to see. And like you said, I believe that's all we got.
If you're here on YouTube, hit that subscribe button.
Turn on our post notifications.
Like.
And share.
Don't forget to comment below.
This has been Titans Time, and as always,
tighten up! Cut it out. Cut whatever out. I know, I'm just like...
This was week 6.
And without someone like Nichols there to be a... cut, because I don't know what I was saying.
Alright, so we're on to the Steelers next week.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, that's going to be a game.
So,
They got to get it together by then.
Yeah, the Steelers have been playing well.
For sure.
They're 5-0
Alright, so-
too.
They've been
Or
screaming.
So how
They're
we
about to
can
put us down.
Stop.
how we can
Sorry.
go about this. Well, all this is getting cut anyway. How we can go about it is yes.
Who knows? Who knows?
Bloopers. This is going on bloopers.
Next week and talk about if we think the Titans can, or how we think.
Dory, we need you.